camera. Okay. Hey friends, and welcome back. If you're new here, it's fantastic to have you. I'm Abigail, the Homeschool Hippie, and today we are doing an Assumptions of Homeschoolers video. Now, some of you might notice that this is kind of a different filming space. I'm really excited. This is mine and my husband's new office space that we're kind of decorating, and this whole area over here is kind of my space for filming, and I'm really excited to be decorating. So if you guys have any suggestions or thoughts of what I should put up on the walls, let me know. I'm really into like that mint and gray color scheme. So if you know something, comment down below. I would love to see your guys' suggestions and give you a shout out if I pick up something that you suggest. So without further ado, we are going to jump into this assumptions video. I asked for questions on Facebook and Instagram and in some of my YouTube collaboration support groups, and I have some really awesome questions. I think I've broken them down pretty well. Each question or assumption that I have, I will pop a screen up here across, and you'll notice down at the bottom either a YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram symbol, and I tried to give a shout out to whoever gave me the question or idea. Also, I found some other wonderful YouTube mamas who are also homeschoolers that were either interested in doing an assumptions video or had already done an assumptions video, and we are putting a playlist together. So if you want to find more homeschool mamas here on YouTube, please be sure to check out that link down in the description box. So let's dive in. Oh yes, one more thing before I dive in. Some of these assumptions were things that people said that their friends or family members thought, or they were homeschoolers, and so these are assumptions that they get. So, question one is, why do you homeschool? And some of the assumptions about why we were homeschool are that we move around a lot, that we are anti-vaxxers, or that we have children with special needs. So we don't move around a lot. We have actually lived in the same kind of area forever. We're initially from one county over from us, and we lived there for several years. From 2011 to like 2014. My husband and I both grew up in that county area, so it was nothing new to us. It's not like we moved there when we got married, and then we moved over to where we live now, and we have lived here for 5 years. So we don't move around a lot. Anti-vaxxers. So I actually got this in the form of another assumption that most homeschoolers are anti-vaxxers or anti-vaccination. We actually do select vaccination. There are some vaccinations we don't do. My older kids have had reactions to a couple of the vaccinations, and just because of that, we don't do those vaccinations. My younger two children will not receive them. For me, it's not worth the risk. Now, with that said, my kids do receive probably 80 to 90% of their vaccinations. So with that said, we aren't anti-vaccinators. I know lots of homeschoolers who do vaccinate their children, but I also know lots of homeschoolers that don't vaccinate their children. The next one is children with special needs. We actually do. I've been very open and honest that my oldest son has ADHD. I have talked about some of that in my other videos talking about homeschool, and he did actually attend public school for preschool and then for kindergarten for 1 quarter. And we just found that it was not a good fit for him. He was constantly getting in trouble, constantly not doing well, and so we pulled him at that point. And then many of you guys know that Jezebel, our oldest daughter, has a brain condition called Chiari malformation, and Honestly, I couldn't picture sending her to school unless she was going to have someone with her 24/7, just because of the horror stories that I have read in some of my support groups. Like, that's not a risk that I'm willing to take. So part of the reason we homeschool is due to the special needs in our home. Guys, I might be a little bit wordy in this video. I was not anticipating taking that long on one question. Okay. What type of homeschoolers are you? What is unschooling, and what is relaxed schooling? So I'm just going to cover this really fast. Tomorrow is Thursday. This video hopefully will go up tonight, and then tomorrow or Friday, my 2019-2020 curriculum choices will be coming out. As many of you guys know, last school year we were unschoolers, and we very much followed and subscribed into the unschooling life. This year we are going to be doing more of a relaxed schooling. Unschooling is where you allow your child to kind of ask the questions, set goals for themselves, and find answers to the things that they're interested in learning. And that's a very, I feel more like it's life schooling than unschooling. I like that term a little bit better because they are learning. Relaxed schooling is where there's some structure, but you're not necessarily like, okay, well, today we need to do this for English and this for history. A lot of relaxed schoolers will do unit studies or set an amount of time that they plan to have structured in their day to cover certain materials, but then the rest of the time the child is still asked to kind of create their own goals and given the opportunity to learn without being confined to, okay, for this subject we're going to do this, and for this subject we're going to do this, and we're going to do school for so many hours today because that's how many hours we're required to by the state. It's very much more of a, okay, these are the goals mom has for you, and then these are your goals, and we're going to do this amount of time on mom's goals, and the rest of the time you're life schooling. So I hope I explained that well enough. I did get some unschooler assumptions, and I'm just kind of going to read through them briefly, and I'm so sorry. It's been a minute since I recorded, and I miss you guys. I'm going to be wordy today. Alright, so unschoolers are lazy or not smart enough to do real homeschool. This is the best way I have found to explain this. So, if you aren't, like I said, I really love the term life schooling over unschooling, but imagine your child asks you one of those questions you know all children do. Why is the sky blue? Instead of giving them the answer as a life schooler, you're going to help support them finding the answer. So think about the time that it's going to take you to help them find books, movies, research, listen to songs, then create some sort of, this is why the sky is blue. They want to learn about plants. So you're going to plant plants, you're going to grow them, you're going to photograph them, you're going to learn about how they eat, how they get oxygen, how they, all the things that they ask. As an unschooler or a life schooler, you're taking the extra step to then help your child find the answer on their own. So imagine every question your child asks, you're going to help them find the answer. It is a lot of work, and it's very rewarding, but it's certainly not lazy. Unschoolers get annoyed easily, so they avoid real work. Yeah, see my last answer. I mean, at least from my perspective, I don't typically get annoyed by my children trying to learn something. The beauty of life schooling or unschooling is that they have that opportunity to take for themselves and try to find the answer and learn different ways that they can find knowledge out, and then how they can apply it to their life. So I don't really think that it's a matter of not doing real work because we're annoyed. I think it's more of we're helping our child learn differently than you're helping your child learn. Children will never learn to do taxes or write checks. I went to public school and I graduated and did not know how to do my taxes. My husband actually had to teach me. So I think that depends on who their homeschooling mentor is. If it's a mom who wants to really help their child learn those things, they're going to teach their child those things. My children will learn those things. Some people will say, you know, that's not something I feel like they need to learn now, but I will help them in their adult life when it's time for them to do that, instead of trying to focus on it when it's not a skill they need at this time. So I don't think that that's a fair assumption. I think that it varies from person to person and homeschool to homeschool. I assume your children play all day and they don't actually learn. My children do play, and they play a lot, but as my great favorite homeschool author would say, play is learning. There's so much that you learn through play. You can, learn how to measure things. You can learn how to count money. You can have a store and learn how to sell things, customer service. You can learn how to be kind. We learn how to share. We can learn how to build a tower, how to knock it down. I mean, those are physics, right? Like science, motion, all of those things. I mean, play is learning, and my children do a lot of play, but they are learning while they're playing at the same time. And then someone asked, how do you determine how to count play hours? So I could make a whole video on this, and I probably will in the future, but to be short and concise, you have to consider what they're learning while they play. So if my children are outside and they are playing explorers, and we are examining bugs with our with our magnifying glasses, and we're checking out birds with our binoculars, and we're talking about different kinds of plants, that's obviously going to fall into science. Legos can be counted different ways. If you're counting the Legos, that's going to be math. If you're building with Legos, it kind of depends on what you're building, but it's really what your child's learning in the moment while they play. What do we do for sick days? That depends on who's sick. If I'm sick, we will typically just try to cuddle and watch some educational shows on TV, or do our work in bed. We're really good about having like a relaxed day. If one of the kids is sick, they get the day off. If it's a gloomy day and we're all just kind of feeling down, we don't do school. We might make that up on a Saturday. But the beautiful thing about us doing 365 or year-round homeschooling is we have a lot of leeway, and we don't take a summer break, as well as we don't take holiday breaks. So my kids don't get 2 weeks off for Christmas, and so we can take those 2 weeks off somewhere else if we need to. If someone is sick, we can have a day off and not be stressed about trying to meet our educational requirements. I assume some days you slack off and do less than you probably should, and that you take really awesome field trips. Yeah, we do. We take a lot of really awesome field trips. We like to go to the zoo. We like to go to the aquarium. We've done Legoland. We will be going on vacation here pretty soon, and we will use our vacation part of that time as an educational approach, and so they will actually get to count part of their vacation hours as their educational requirements, and because of that they'll be learning about where we're going, and then we don't really have to take off because we're on vacation. And we do slack off some days. Some days we're like, man, it is beautiful. It has been raining for a week straight, which is kind of the situation here this week, and we're like, we're having a Sunday because we can. We're gonna do 30 minutes. We're gonna read our story for bedtime. We're gonna practice this skill today, and then we're just gonna go play. So yeah, sometimes we slack off. Sometimes we take really awesome field trips. was really interesting because I had several people assume on both sides of the fence that either homeschooling is cheap and that's why people are able to do it, or homeschooling is really expensive and that's why people can't do it, or the people who do it must be rich. This assumption varies greatly from family to family. I will say this year in 2019-2020, our homeschooling expenses probably are 5 times more expensive than they were last year. And a lot of that has to do with, like I said, I'll be talking about this on Thursday or Friday this week, but a lot of that has to do with what curriculum you purchase, what kind of homeschooler you are, the way you decorate your classroom, the things you want your children to have, if you're involved in co-ops, if you're involved in groups that you go and you have to pay for monthly, if you take a lot of field trips, if you take a lot of vacation trips. So really it varies based on how you do homeschool, what you purchase, and where you purchase it from. People assume they can drop by or call and you'll always be available. This happens so freaking often. But it's not true. We do have a structure to our day that we follow. We pretty much know how our day is going to play out and how our structure of our day is depends on if you can just call and I'm going to answer the phone. Most homeschoolers, I would say, have like a routine or structure to their day that they kind of follow. People assume you do nothing all day. No. I do a lot. All I have to say is no. I assume you are a Christian or a modern day hippie. Both. You have lots of patience. I wish I had a lot of patience. I would say I have a good amount of patience. I'm always striving to do better. I don't think that I have more patience than any other person. You're awesome. I like to think so. Thank you. But yeah, I think I'm awesome. Your house is always clean. No. Which is why you don't see cleaning videos on this channel. You regret not sending your kids to public school. My kids actually did go to public school. Jezebel and Nehemiah both went to public preschool, and Nehemiah went to public kindergarten, and I would say I regret sending them to public school more than I will ever even remotely question whether homeschooling is the right choice. How do you not lose your crap every day? My kids fight all day. I want to homeschool, but I'm not sure I can do it. Patience, practice, reminding them to be kind and to treat others the way they want to be treated. My kids fight more than people would probably assume. Okay, you guys, this made me sad. This is the saddest assumption that I got, and it says, I assume single mothers with absent fathers can't homeschool. This made me really sad. If homeschooling is what is on your heart and what is meant for your family, I really believe that whatever is meant to be will find a way. So with that said, I do know some really awesome mamas who are single moms that homeschool. It is a little more difficult because you have to try to balance that with work, and I would love if anyone needs to have this conversation personally. My inbox is always open. Please message me. I would love to help find you resources. It's not impossible. What is meant to be will find a way. Now we're down to the nitty-gritty. This is the last one, you guys. Assumptions about homeschooling kids. Kids are basically hidden under their mother's apron. I don't own an apron, so my kids certainly aren't hiding there. Kids will never get married, go to college, or be in the military. This one came from the Homeschooling Grammy. She is an amazing life goal. Like, I want to be her when I am a grandma. But her kids have actually accomplished all of those, and she said that those are things that she's heard in the past. Homeschooling kids are socially awkward. I don't really feel like that's fair, because I think there are some kids in public school that are socially awkward, and I think there's some homeschoolers that are socially awkward. I think there's also equal amounts of people who aren't socially awkward. Homeschool kids have to get their GED. This is actually incorrect. I will be making a video coming up on this sometime in the next couple of months, but this is not a true assumption either. They certainly can get their GED. In some states it may be required. I'm not knowledgeable on all of the states' requirements, but I can say in Missouri it is not required, and it also is possible. Homeschooling kids can't be involved in extracurricular activities. This is false. This assumption is not true. They certainly can be involved in extracurricular activities. You do have to adhere to your state's policies and your district's policies when you kind of get into programs that are ran specifically through the school. With that said, however, there are also resources that are extracurricular activities simply for homeschooling families. I know kind of in Missouri that there are some that are choirs, there's bands, there's football leagues, there's like robotics teams and things like that that are specifically for homeschool students if you live in an area where you're able to access those resources. This has been a very long video. I did not anticipate this, but it has been a pleasure to talk to you guys. I am so excited. With that, peace, love, and I will catch you guys in the next one.